Hello again, Dr. Matthews. This time I'm welcoming you to our research course for the semester. Hopefully you watched the video for practicum. If you haven't, you'll watch one and then the other. So there's two separate videos for each course just because there's so much to cover in both. Sometimes down the road, I think I'm going to combine my video into one and address both classes. But if you saw the first video, there wasn't a whole lot of time. And so I didn't even really address everything as much as I wanted. So I'm going to hit a couple minutes on practicum internship just real quick at the start of this. I glossed over site supervisor evals, midterm and final. You should be a part of that. This is a chance for your site supervisor to give you feedback of how you're doing. Look at the evaluation form, share it with them now. It gives you both a sense for what are the things that we're asking for, what kinds of experiences are we asking them to rate you on, because then you'll know what things maybe you should be trying to work into your time there. You should ideally be meeting with your supervisor at least once a week for 30 minutes. I understand for those of you who are right there working alongside your site supervisor, you're going to be talking on the sidewalk and you're going to be talking before a group or here and there. So it's okay if it's not like a dedicated 30-minute sit down, but just be sure you're communicating. You know, you're going to have lots of questions and you want to be able to be communicating with them. And if you're not communicating, well, then at least you have this 30 minutes once a week where it's maybe then you make it a scheduled sit down time so that you have their undivided attention. And then again, I didn't want to gloss over Fred and Sandra are just we're so lucky to have them. You had Fred as your instructor over the summer, and he and Sandra have been supervising for practicum and internship since the program started. Well, I should say since the very first cohort got to their third year. So they've been doing this for years now. They're pros. They both have experiences in the schools. So they and we all work together for this course. So they're going to be kind of your go-to when you have questions like just about what's going on at your site. They're going to schedule those meetings with you and your site supervisor. So, I mean, you can ask any of us questions, but when it comes to like the paperwork and the assignments and things, I would probably be your person. And then if there's something going on at school, your site supervisor is always going to be your first person to go to, Fred and Sandra, and then certainly me. I mean, we've all given you our cell phone numbers so that you can reach us anytime if you need. Okay, I think that was it. That's all I wanted to make sure to touch on a little bit more. So I'll get that out of my way. All right, so now, same thing. Resource course has a schedule. It's in the syllabus, but then I did a combined schedule of both of your classes. I went ahead and actually marked the research classes with a little asterisk on mine, just so I can know the difference between the two. I mean, everything is due, so it doesn't really matter which one, but it helps me as I'm talking with you. So in the research class, there's no weekly discussion, so there's a spot for discussion, but it's more just a chance for you all if you want to ask questions of one another. If you have questions for me, don't put them there. There's even a note that says, if you have a question for me, you need to email me, because the discussion forum's more for you all to have a place to kind of chat, but it's not something that I'm going to be like, moderating or anything. I have a list of resource textbooks. They're all books that you've purchased in the past. You may not remember, but I believe you were asked to buy the Making Data Work your first semester when you took the first research course. You also used Shapiris, and I can't remember the other authors. I apologize. I actually my doctoral program was with Carl Shapiris, who wrote that book, and he wrote other books too. But anyway, it was a good research text. So you might want to flip through there here and there for some help. But the Making Data Work is going to be huge. It's going to be very helpful. So if you didn't purchase it back then, purchase it now. And this is don't rent it. Like, you want to purchase this. I don't even know if renting is an option, but this is an easy read, and this is even going to be useful when you're a school counselor. So you want this on your shelf. Again, I'm not going to assign weekly readings, but there might be a point, like this is really going to help you with your methodology, really your data analysis. Like that's where it's something that a lot of counselors, including me, we're not strong on data analysis. And this is going to show you an easy way to see if the interventions that you've chosen makes a difference. If you want to peek ahead, the chapter that I highlight is well, it's part 3. They call them parts instead of chapters. So part 3, which is like chapter 3, read it from start to finish. Don't just flip through it like I just did. And it will make things come to life, and suddenly you'll be like, okay, this isn't as hard as I think it's going to be. So this could be helpful even while you're trying to decide on your art topic. So it won't take long to read the chapter. It's not hard. I mean, I'm talking maybe 30 minutes of undivided time. You'll read that 3rd chapter, and I think you're just going to take a huge sigh of relief. So anyway, and if you don't do it now, I'll remind you down the road, but I think now is the best time to do it. So I know you're busy. Again, maybe take it to practicum and internship, and if you have any downtime in between doing things with your supervisor, especially early on, this could be a good thing to be reading. And it's all about school counseling, so it's not like inappropriate for you to be reading it at your site. Okay, let's see. On the course site, I have a lot of information about your major projects in the research class. There's going to be a section for writing, research and writing resources. It says coming soon. I just want to double check everything. I have them, they're hidden. But I just want to update things, make sure everything's good before I unhide it so that you can see that. But there'll be some resources. I may try something called Turn It In. You may have heard of that when you were an undergrad. And I've got to experiment with it a little bit more. But before you submit any of your writing, like your art, especially your lit review and your intro, I'm going to most likely have you check your paper through Turn It In. And that's going to make sure that you're using your own words and that you're referencing things and you're not accidentally plagiarizing. So it's a little stressful probably, but at the same time, it's going to help you to be sure that you're paraphrasing and using your own words. Again, that's going to come under resources. I still need to do a little bit of research on that. IRB, that's huge. It's not listed as like a separate course, like assignment in the syllabus, but it's part of your art. Like you cannot do your action research if you do not do IRB as part of that process. So IRB stands for Institutional Review Board. Anytime somebody does research, it's part of like a university. So if I do research as an instructor at Salem, I have to get approval from IRB first. You as students of Salem, you're doing research for a school project, you have to get IRB approval. IRB is a group of faculty at Salem, but every college has an IRB, even like medical programs, all of that. Everybody has an IRB, and it's a group of professionals that review your like proposed research, and they make sure that you're not doing anything that's going to harm your participants. And so a lot of that is about giving them informed consent and, just making sure that they know exactly what it is that you're doing. And I'm going to make sure you're not harming anybody, but we need to have approval from the board. So 2 big things that have to happen this semester for that. And I have it for fall semester. That's our goal, is to have IRB approval this semester. You have to do training. There's a link and there's directions, but IRB won't give anybody approval. I didn't get approval either until you go through this online training. And it's a little intense. I mean, it's about 9 modules. And I think it took me about 2 hours total. But you do not want to sit down and do 9 modules in one day or one sitting. They're pretty intense, you really need to focus. So I tried to break it up into a couple of modules over a few days' time. So start working on that. The sooner the better. I have that training due September 16th. So again, do not wait till the last minute. This is something you want to do sooner than later. You'll learn a lot about just IRB and why they do, why they have to approve and those kinds of things, informed consent, all of that. So the second thing is then at the end, towards the end of the semester, you'll actually submit your IRB proposal for your research project. And I've got samples from students from last year. In this case, it's okay. I think I even posted their samples as Word documents. That's one case it's okay to kind of plagiarize. You can literally open up one of those samples and just replace your project with their information, because those were approved proposals. So if you do yours very similar, you're going to get approved. IRB even provides that kind of thing. They expect to see the same language over and over and over, and that's okay. This is one time it's okay to kind of copy what someone else wrote, but just make sure it applies to what your project is. So you'll still have to do some tweaking. The R, Action Research Thesis, that's a huge project this semester. Again, I devised a schedule, and we're going to, Fred, Sandra, and I, we're going to push you to stick with that schedule. Meet the deadlines. It's going to be hard. There's going to be lots of times you're staying up late, you're stressed. But if you meet these deadlines that are on the schedule, you will get to that ultimate at the end of spring. You'll be ready. So like there's 2 copies of actual art, finished arts from last year. And if you read those right now, which I encourage you to, but you're just going to be like, oh my gosh, I can't believe these students did this. It looks so good. It's so professional. I promise you, they were exactly where you are today, this time last year. So they went through this entire process to get to that beautiful finished product, okay? And we're going to be with you, walking you through it, but that's why you've got to do these small steps. So I've given you these small, we call them benchmarks, and by meeting these deadlines, I assure you, you're going to get to that finished product in the spring, okay? Just focus on one thing at a time. So the first thing coming up is going to be your topic. I want you, some of you are already emailing me to kind of start brainstorming, and that's okay. I'm going to help you with your topic. I'm going to help you tweak it. You know, I want it to be something you're excited about because you're going to be doing this for a year. But I'm going to help you to make sure it's doable, that it's something, because think about it. You're going to have to get parent consent for this. So whatever you're proposing, you know, you may have great interest in suicide or cutting, but that's not the project. That's not what you want to be doing for this project. It's not to say you can't have that interest, you can't do trainings and things, but most likely there's no parents that are going to sign consent for you to have their child who's cutting to be in your small group. It just most likely isn't going to happen. So you're going to have to tweak some things, and I'll help you if you need. But to make it something that a parent is willing to maybe sign consent and say yes. So be thinking about like our small group class. I mean, some of those topics were a little less, you know, we talked about teen pregnancy. Maybe instead of saying teen pregnancy, it's a healthy relationships group. You know, some parents, that's not so bad. Yeah, I want my daughter or my son to be in a group that learns about respecting themselves and respecting others and making healthy choices, you know, as opposed to sending home that parent consent form that says, I'm doing a teen pregnancy prevention program and your child's at risk. So anyway, keep that in mind as you're trying to figure out your topic. The MAP. So your Master Practitioner Portfolio, online portfolio is also going to be due this year. Not till the end, but again, I just have 2 small kind of benchmarks this semester that's going to get you going with that. I am going to be creating sites for you, and that's going to be soon. So in the next week or so, I'll be sending you a link to your individual site. And you'll see there's a template already on the site that kind of breaks down the North Carolina School Counseling Standards. There's 5 standards, and you're going to submit, we call them artifacts, but it's basically just assignments that meet each standard. So know that more is coming on that. I'm going to be doing videos and things, talking with you guys throughout the semester. So deep breaths. It's a lot to do, but I promise you we'll get you through it. Okay, let me know if you have any questions or concerns at this point. I'll see you soon. Bye.